We can get a recording, and then you can listen to it again if you need to. So what's your update, Jeremy? What's going on?
Cool. So over the past week, first of all, one thing I did was set up my office. There's a lovely map of Santa Maria there behind me, so I have a little dedicated space now to make sure I'm in the right mindset for making calls and stuff. Then I started making calls. I kind of got just like the urge to just start doing some stuff. So I started looking on Craigslist and made some calls to for rent by an owner here in Santa Maria. And got one lead from on a home here in Orchid. And guy, it's for rent, but he's open to talking about some creative possibilities.
Great.
And so I set an appointment with him for Sunday. He ended up flaking out on Sunday, so I'm glad I called him to confirm beforehand because he had something come up. But I did meet up with him on Monday. He called me on Monday to see if he could, set up another appointment. So I went out and checked it out, walked through it. Really nice home. I think it would be a really good executive home for like a young couple. It's on a cul-de-sac. I sent you the lead sheet on that.
Nice.
So that's the latest there. So he's open to possibilities. We didn't talk about where he was as far as what he owes on it and what the mortgage rates are. Sorry, what his mortgage amount is and stuff. But that's kind of where that's at. So I'll need a little help with that to kind of see where to go next with that. I had the first meetup group meeting on Saturday at the local Panera Bread. And that went really well for the first meeting. It was cool. 2 people showed up.
Nice.
Neither of them actually from meetup.com through there. However, just through some Craigslist marketing I did the week before, just kind of ramping up for it to try to get some people. I put some ads on Craigslist in the for sale by owner section, just kind of rent to own, and then used those, and then ended up seeing 2 people came through that were our potential buyers. One maybe not so much rent to own, but is interested, might be a good wholesale buyer for someone to sell wholesale deals to. And someone else that's a potential rent to own buyer. So that was really cool. Then Sunday, I got a list of expireds from within the last 6 months, and there's about 30 on there. And I had driven by 5 or so before and stopped by the week before. So it left about 25 or so on there, and so I actually went to each of those addresses on Sunday. Took about 4 hours or so, and then knocked on doors, and then presented them or dropped off a lot of the special reports, the lease purchase special report. Some of them were relisted. They had signs in the yard and stuff, but most were not. Didn't get any invites though on that day to come through. Some had already been sold, or some were already rented out. Didn't get any invites to come back and look through the properties, but stopped by stopped by 3 open houses too. Walked through those, dropped off the Plan B lease purchase report. So that's
can I recommend something? When you drop off a report, put it in a master log. Reports dropped off.
Oh yeah,
that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. I set up my an Evernote deal, so I've been starting to track my buyer leads, my seller leads, all that. I did that in the last week.
The reason why is you want to be able to search that address. If you get a phone call, let's say you get a phone call 3 months from now on 1246 Frost Street, right?
Yeah.
And they go, oh, I got this free report. Well, wouldn't it be great to know how long it took for them to call you? Because
Sure.
they can't answer it. They can't answer how long it's been. Not unless you put a date on the report, right? Because you're handing them the report. Wouldn't it be nice to know how long it's taken for them to act?
Yeah, definitely.
So if you have a date log of when you, you know what I mean? When you leave the report in their hands, that is like the shelf life of your report, right?
Yeah.
Now that metric is super important. Why do you think it's important?
Well, it'll show me if the report is effective, if that marketing strategy is effective, and it'll show me what, how long I should expect on a normal basis. Like, what's the normal turnaround time from the time I hand someone a report to the time they're calling me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like, how long is it going to take for them to call me before I start getting upset whether or not my marketing's really working? Now, it's so important to be patient, I guess. I've had people call me on those special reports between 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
And I know that's a long time to wait for money. But
Sure.
it's you got to be in it for the long haul. You got to be patient.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I just figure, I didn't get any commitments, so to say, on Sunday, but hey, I planted a lot of seeds.
Well, that's
So,
the thing, planting the seeds. Now, I need you to follow up every 2 weeks on those reports. And you can do it with a postcard. Right?
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
the easiest way to do that is just photocopy the log and say, I need to get these postcards out in 2 weeks. And put it in a folder called send postcards out folder. I mean, you can do it with time management software and all the rest of this other stuff. But if you just do it with folders and legal pad, you can do it that way too. Just photocopy the sheet and say send postcards out, and then add 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And that way you're following up on a regular basis. Every 2 weeks, you should be getting them something in their hand. A lot of people respect something in the mail a lot more than they respect an email. People are like overloaded with email, They're overloaded. So just like a nice little postcard with your SantaMariaHomeSolutions.com site on it, and then a P.O. box address you don't have to have your home address. And then on the back, you just scribble something. I've got a buyer that looks like they want your street. Can you give me a call? And just keep knocking on their door with a postcard. Does that sound like a good way to do it?
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit of work to mail, but I think they hang on to that postcard a lot better than an email.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So your SOP is hand the report out, then put the address in a callback log, and it's just that's your master callback log. It's the date you drop it off, the address, and if any details. It could be their first names, it could be their phone number, it could be how much they want for the house, whatever it is.
Sure.
and it could take 2 lines on a yellow pad, right? And then you just photocopy that page and put it in a callback log for 2 weeks. And your first piece of business is your callbacks or your mail outs in the morning, to get that out of the way. Make sure, because that it's so critical that you follow up. If you follow up, you'll make a lot of money. If you don't follow up, you'll be broke. It's like a red light or a green light in this business. So, tell me anything else. How are you feeling? What's going on with your life?
Feeling good.
Okay.
Ready to start. I mean, I get anxious, like I get kind of, I want results now kind of
Yep.
thing, and I don't, I mean, that's just my personality, and so like, that's when I start just like going on Craigslist and like looking through ads and like just wanting to like, go out and talk to people. So,
well, I've got a,
I'm not fully, polished by any means yet, but I noticed I've been getting a little bit better at, one of the for sale by owners asked me, so Jeremy, what is it that you do?
Mm-hmm.
After I handed him the report, the first guy kind of just schlepped it off and pulled it and put it in his pocket.
Why don't you role play with me some questions that these sellers, and I'll tell you what I would say if I were you, okay? And it'll be on tape. So let's say that I'm you, you're the seller, I knock on your door, I hand you the report. The first thing that I would say, what kind of lead is this, first of all? Is it an expired lead? Is it a listed house lead? Or what's the lead? Or FSBO lead?
Let's say it's an expired listing.
Now, there's 5 types of leads, right? 5 types. The first and second go together. It's a listed and an expired. Now, the listed house and the expireds, they want to sell, right? They've hired somebody to get that problem, and if it hasn't worked out, it goes expired, but they want to sell the house. So if it's expired, it's the strongest possible lead. So the thing that you got to do, it's so important to understand this, is first of all, you got to look very professional if you're knocking on an expired door. Okay? Your image is very, very important. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, you've got to look like you know what you're talking about, and they're going to make their first assumption based on your based on your impression and what you look like. So they're going to judge you right away.
Yeah, they're going to judge you right away. Let me ask you a question. Can you try to picture your job as similar to a financial planner or a stockbroker?
Sure.
Okay, that's kind of like what we're doing, because we're helping the sellers maximize their equity dollars, aren't we? Aren't we doing that?
That's right. Yes.
I mean, can you phrase it any better than that as far as the benefit for the seller?
I don't think I can. I mean, no. I mean, yeah. Getting them the most for their property.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Now, aren't we saving them? We're not just getting a higher sales price, but we're saving them the cost to sell, aren't we?
Certainly.
So it's not just getting a higher price. It's saving them the cost to sell dollars. So isn't that maximizing their equity?
It is.
And I think that approach is a good approach when you're talking to people, what you do. And doesn't that come off more financial than selling the house?
Yeah.
So what I would say I would look like a financial planner. I would have a tie. I would have slacks. I would have shoes. I would look good. Okay?
Yeah.
I would look like a banker. I would look like a stockbroker, financial planner. That's the look you want when you're dealing with an expired listing at the door.
Okay.
And secondly is what you say to yourself. It says, ma'am, wasn't there a sign out here a week ago? Did you try to sell with some kind of a real estate agent about a week ago? That's what I would say. Now, why would I say that?
To get them talking.
Yeah, you want them to say, sure, yeah, we were trying to sell with an agent. That's what you want them to say. And the second thing you say is this. Oh, is the property for sale privately right now? Now, if it just expired, what are they going to say?
Well, that's the thing. That's like one of the biggest things I've been running into is they're going to say, no, we took it off the market.
And what I would, okay, all right, stop there, Jeremy. If they say that, now think, what's the next thing to say?
Oh, what? Well, how come?
No. What I would say is something like, I'm looking for a house on this street. Are you telling me that if you could get your sales price, you wouldn't sell it today? You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going?
Okay.
You want them to say what?
Well, I mean, if you were to give me what I asked, my asking price, then I might think about it. Or
No,
sure.
you want them to say, yeah, I guess if I got my price, I'd sell it. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, that's what you want them to say. You're leading them to that point. If I could get my price, I would sell it. I said, now you need to get the appointment. So I said, well, great. What is the soonest I could possibly walk through the house with you and your husband, if it's a woman?
Okay, so you just assume that they have a spouse involved.
Of course. Let them tell you that they're not married.
Yeah.
People don't like to answer questions.
Yeah,
Like if you ask them, are you married? It's none of your friggin' business, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Everyone's protective of their information. But if I presume that they were married, they can correct me, right?
Sure. So when is the soonest?
When is the soonest I could do a walkthrough with you and your husband to see the house? Make the appointment and do the walkthrough. And then you could ask them how much they want for the house and their phone number and their names. Okay? Write that on a yellow pad. Now, Jeremy, if they don't let you walk through the house, you can't make an offer. You can't present, right?
Right.
You've got to get through the door. And the expired listing is the best listing possible. Now, let me ask you a question. A lot of people come up with this objection when I train them to do this, and it's your mindset in your head. Do you think that this is a bait and switch, where we're trying to act like a eager buyer with the expired and then moving them over to a lease purchase or a lease option assignment? Do you think that we're manipulating them?
No, I mean, I am looking for an investment property for me.
Right.
So it's an investment property.
Well, you don't tell them that. You just want to see if they want to sell. But what I'm getting at here is you don't think that we're doing anything unfair or untoward with the seller, right?
No, because no.
Good.
Because all of these places before the time, well, before I left, all of these places, well, not all of them, but yeah, it's mentioned, like, they say, are you looking for yourself? Because they kind of presume that I might be an agent trying to sell it.
Sure.
And I said, yeah, I'm looking for myself. Or yeah, I'm looking for investment properties for myself. So.
Well, you know what I usually say is this. If they ask me, do I want it for myself or someone else, I'll say, can you do me a favor? I'm trying to see if this is a kind of a property I'd be interested in. Can we just walk through it? Take a look at it? Can we do that? I don't want to spill the beans until I see the property. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't want to answer their questions. I want to evade that question and walk through the property. If I like it, I'll let you know. It shouldn't take more than 10 minutes for me to let you know how I feel about the property. I won't waste your time.
But I just want to know if you want to buy it for you or if you're an agent and you're going to sell it to someone else.
Can I tell you, quite frankly, I'm not an agent, first of all. So can we just walk through the property now? If you don't want to show me the property, then you don't want to show me the property. Let's just walk through it. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you want to show me first? Do you want to show me the outside or the inside first?
Gotcha.
Or let's start at the top and work down. Let's ignore the question and just move along. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound like I'm being evasive, but I can't get involved with what my plan is for the property with them at that point.
Okay.
Okay? Now, there's 5 steps in negotiation. You've been through that, right? You understand those?
Yes.
Okay, you have to build rapport. You know how to do that?
Yes.
Okay. And you know how to do the upfront agreement?
Yes.
Okay. And you know how to kick the legs out of the stool, the motivation step?
Yeah. I'm familiar with all these. I haven't gone through and actually done it yet, so that's why I'm...
That's fine. You're just inexperienced, but you understand the concepts of them.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. The more you do them, the easier it is. So the more walkthroughs you can do, just remember, you've got to get in there on a favorable basis. When I deal with an expired, I really want to know what happened with that agent. But I don't want to drill them with too many questions. And I want to say something like, what a gorgeous house. Do you know why? Wasn't it properly marketed? Is that the reason why it didn't sell? Why do you think it didn't sell? Ask them some questions. And you can tell by their body language and their tone whether or not they thought the agent was inept. Right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
If they think that agent didn't do a good job, they're going to tell you. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So you do the walkthrough, you go to the kitchen table, and you got to do a bridge from looking at the property for yourself to a lease option assignment. Okay? And you need both parties there. You cannot do this. You cannot do a walkthrough either. Do not do a walkthrough without both parties there. Make sense?
Yes.
You know why, right?
Yes.
Why do you not do a walkthrough without both parties there?
Because if there's only one party there, they aren't going to properly relay the message the way you would to the other party, and
That's part of it.
It probably won't go through. And also, you don't have the chance to close them right away. So the first party can come up with objections during the time that he has to
Very
think
good.
about it.
Very good.
Reasons why it won't work, and then
That's good.
present those probably to the third party too. And then, it's not going to, there's a lot of power in the presentation with, comparing selling it with a real estate agent, renting it out, or selling it creatively.
Well, let me keep it really simple, okay?
I tend to overcomplicate things.
Here's the simplicity of it. If you talk to the woman and she wants to do it, and she says, let me talk it over with my husband, the husband's going to shoot it down. I said, that's a ripoff, honey. We're not doing that. And just shut her down. Okay? But if they were both there and then you leave and then he wants to shut it down, he's going to say, look, you heard him. Right? It's much more powerful if they're both there, even if one is dissenting, even if one is objecting to what you're trying to do.
Gotcha.
But if you just present to one of them and the other person hears it secondhand, they're going to punch holes in it. They're going to be the deal killer. It always happens. You never, ever, ever. Now, here's another question. Some people need advisors, right? An accountant, another agent. I talked to my agent, and they said, don't do this, that kind of thing. So one of the things I like to ask them is, now, you guys look like you're pretty sophisticated people, I say to them. But I don't want to presume. Is there anybody else that you need to talk to about this? Need to include about taking care of your house problem? Because if there is, we need them here. I can't get involved with any paperwork unless you can make the decision by yourself or all parties are present. You need your father here. You need your financial planner here. You need an agent here. You need somebody else here. And what you want them to say is, no, we can make the decision. Right?
And this, I get that during the appointment, when I'm setting the appointment with them, or?
No, when you do the walkthrough, before you go through everything, before you go through the presentation, because you want to be able to make sure that they can make the decision. Does that make sense?
Okay. So,
because what's the objection that you're trying to avoid? You're trying to avoid an objection. What's the objection you want to avoid?
Oh, well, let me talk this over with my financial planner,
or my dog, or my aunt, or my baker that bakes my bread. Somebody else. And that's called a half-baked objection most of the time. It's not a real objection. Now, I know you're a good salesperson, but I've been doing this so long that I've heard every objection. And I'm always concerned that they're going to bring up an objection that's common, that I've heard before. So what I try to do is to avoid it before I even present. Make sense?
Yeah. So I just want to make sure I can picture this in my mind correctly. So I show up for the appointment, walk through the house. Okay, so husband and wife are there. I walk through the house. then it's at the point before I go into any type of presentation with solutions. That's when I'm going to ask them and make sure that, hey, that's when I check. That's to make sure that, I don't know.
Yeah, you want to get a vibe from them about their urgency, right? That's the biggest thing. If they got urgency, they're going to look at creative solutions. If they don't have any urgency, they're going to do it traditionally. That tends to be how it is. It's like a hot, warm, cold prospect. If it's a hot prospect, they got to really move along. They've got a deadline. If they don't have any deadlines, they're not going to look at this, right? They don't have any time pressure. And if you study the negotiation recording, you'll go through that. That's the last part of the third step, is figuring out their timeline, their urgency, right? One of my favorite things to say to sellers is, now, when do you want this house problem handled? Do you want to do that? Is like a 90-day window okay, or a 180-day window? You tell me. And what you want to hear is what?
Oh, 30 days, we're out of here.
Oh, really? You want me to do some magic? You want me to get some magic wand and get somebody in here in 30 days? That's what you want.
Yeah, we've got to be out of here.
Okay, now, assuming I can handle that very, very short time frame, that's a very short one, and I can get somebody that will pay a payment to you that you can handle, that you would approve of, and down the road, they would pay off your mortgage in full, would that be something we can talk about, or maybe not?
Well, yeah. I need to go.
So to justify my own, I want to make sure I understand, because I got to talk this over with my business partner, and we have to approve everything. We have to look at the existing financing. We got to look at the structure of the house. We got to look at all the things we need to look at. But assuming now we get somebody in here, they make a payment to you that you can handle, and you pay off your existing financing, whatever you owe, in full. That would be something that you'd be really interested in?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Did you see what I did there? I said it twice, and I said it a little bit differently the second time.
Yeah.
I call that putting another nail in the coffin.
Just to make sure that they are on the same page and they're with it.
Think of it like this.
Exactly.
Think of it like this. It's I call it the parent-child. The parent-child, right? When a parent talks to a 16-year-old about drinking and driving, are they going to put a couple of nails in the coffin? Or are they going to say, hey, make sure you don't drink and drive, okay, Joe? And Joe's going to say, oh, yeah, sure, no problem, and go. You think that's what they're going to do?
Probably not.
They're probably going to say something. They're probably going to say something like, now, Joe, now listen to me. Look at me. Look at me now. You are not going to have a beer inside that car or outside that car, right? And you're not going to hang around Gary anymore on Friday nights, right? Because you know what happened. You know what happened 3 months ago. They're going to give him the riot act. They're going to beat him up. That's the parent-child.
I can picture one of my friend's moms actually.
Right. The mother, the mother hovering thing. Some of them do toddlers like that too. They just hover. They don't let them make any mistakes. Well, that's how you learn, is say, look, you know what the consequence is if you screw up. Now have a good time. It's that's the best way to teach a kid. Anyway, so to get back to this saying it twice thing, it's in the negotiation training if you go through it. It's a very important piece. Now, one of the reasons why we do that is we want to teach the prospect how to defend the decision to their friends. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, think of it the barbecue, right? They're out at the barbecue, and they're talking about property values, their problems in life, kids, whatever. They talk about property all the time at the barbecue with their friends, right? You want them to have an explanation of what they're doing. Why did you sell it that way? Why didn't you just sell it for cash? Oh, we tried to sell it for cash, but, our agent, it didn't bring any buyers through. So there was this company that helped us do a lease to own. And how that works is somebody moves into our house and they make a payment to us for a period of time, and they pay off our mortgage. You want them to be able to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why we do that? You know why we want them to be able to say that?
Because then they won't question their decision. They've solidified it in their mind, and then if they have a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want them to not have a reason if their friend brings up
Mm-hmm.
why did you do that? Why didn't you just sell it?
Mm-hmm. Well, buyer's remorse kicks in when we don't have conviction over the decision, right? Buyer's remorse, we go, oh my God, what did I just do? They need to be able to feel very solid about their decision to do this. Now, in negotiation, there's a push-pull of the rope. Can you imagine you're on one side of a tug of war, and I'm on the other, and there's a line in the middle, and we're both trying to pull each other over the line. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you remember in the negotiation there was the revolving musical chairs? Remember that?
Yeah.
And you remember the reluctant buyer and the reluctant seller kind of thing? You want them to pull you over the line. You need them to tell you why you should be doing this.
Gotcha.
And when it's time to do the paperwork, you want to throw a couple of wrenches in the situation that says, oh, by the way, I saw that stain on the ceiling. There's no leaks in the roof, is there? Like you throw that in at the last minute, and you want them to get a little nervous and say, oh, no, that's fine. Everything's fine. We had that checked out with a builder, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So go through that negotiation and really know it, because there's some things in there that are really good. And I know that's a lot of information, and I know you're just starting. But I think if you listen to that negotiation at least once a week, it's 2.5 hours long. It'll really help you.
Cool.
All right, now here's there's 2 hours, right? 2 hours of a tape I just did on YouTube with another student, okay? And he's in Long Beach. And he's brand new.
Okay.
And it's on marketing. It's on prospecting. I want you to listen to that, okay?
Okay.
It's the last one uploaded. And it goes through the 5 boxes. It goes through expireds, how to talk to them. Goes through listeds, how to talk to them. Goes through landlords, FSBOs, and wholesalers. And it is pretty long. But the word patterns in there are good. Let's just set goals, okay? I want you to have like a weekly prospecting log. how many of those 5 groups did you see that week?
Last week, expired, for sale by owner, and for rent.
Okay. Well, what you want to do is your metric is how many of each one of those 5 did you do every week?
Oh,
and
gotcha.
and have tape that to the wall, because that is going to create money for you faster than anything.
Okay. Cool. Oh, nice.
Okay.
So just track my contacts with each of these?
Yeah. And just remember that if you give a free report out to somebody, you need to follow up every 2 weeks no matter what. It's the most critical thing you do all day. And if you, let's say you call an expired that it's your 3rd follow-up, it's 6 weeks ago, you gave the report, right? You call them up, or you write them a postcard. And I said, I've got a buyer that wants a house on your street. Is your house still available? Please call me. And what you want them to do is either call you and say, yeah, come on over and have a cup of coffee and talk about it, or drop dead, get me off your friggin' list. You want a drop dead phone call.
So So keep bugging them until I get one of those answers.
It's either get lost, I don't want you contacting me anymore, or come over for a cup of coffee. It's either a red light or a green light, and that's what you got to force out of them.
Okay.
And if they say I'm not interested, it says, well, I can only assume that if I give you some free information that helps sell your house, you would see some benefit in that, wouldn't you? Just don't take no for an answer. You just keep at them. And if they think you're pushy or whatever, let them think that. Your job is to be persistent and get after a yes or a no. I call it be a no collector. Get as many no's as you can. I'm going to leave you with this. I got a meeting. There's a book called How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins. Tom Hopkins has been a sales trainer since the 70s in both real estate and other kinds of sales. A lot of car dealers use him. A lot of real estate agencies use him. I learned how to sell with Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar, which is another one. But How to Master the Art of Selling is like a Bible of what word patterns can you use. And I highly recommend you have that book. The objection handling section of that book is one of the best. How to handle objections. And we're not born with these word patterns. We either know them or we don't know them. We either study them and master them. We have to have a sense of mastery with sales, or we can't do this business very well. We can't. And I call it the dominoes have to fall. One domino falls into the next domino falls into the next one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Feel free to text me if you got any questions, but listen to the prospecting and listen to the negotiation and keep your production up. Stay strong. If you're getting a little frustrated, go work out or something.
All right.
Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. I'll let you go. You be good.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Bye-bye.